It's only when Donald Trump is president that we suddenly get that recession forecast. CBS News today, Trump tariffs raise odds of U.S. recession, says Wall Street economists. Oh yeah, CBS News, is that what the Wall Street economists are saying? Where were these predictions when Joe Biden was in office, when the economy was going terribly? Here was the coverage from the same media when Joe Biden was president, The Guardian. The majority of Americans wrongly believe U.S. in a recession. NPR. The U.S. economy just had a second quarter of negative growth, which is the definition, by the way, of a recession. But they say, is it in a recession? Question mark. Newsweek. When is a recession not a recession? I don't even know what that means. Reuters. No, we're not in a recession, Biden administration tells voters. What the rest of the world is missing about what happened today and what's gone on for the past week is simple. This was The Art of the Deal, renamed The Art of the Tariff, which we looked into. And guess what? That book, The Art of the Deal, they have it in China, in Chinese. So I recommend they read it. They should be reading this book right now in Chinese, because what Donald Trump just did was buy the U.S. 90 days, 3 months to country by country negotiate new trade deals with at least 75 different countries one by one. And while doing that, China can figure out whatever they want to do. Either way, we are in the driver's seat. The 11 principles of The Art of the Deal in English and Chinese. I won't go through all 11, but the first is think big. Then it's use your leverage. Then it's get the word out, fight back, contain the costs. That's where we are today. And finally, have fun. And I think that we are finally having fun again. All right. Joining us now for more is the Vice President of Accountability, the Accountability Institute, Eric Eggers. Eric, nice to have you on. Take me through what happened today, soup to nuts.
Yeah, I think what happened today is the rest of the world realized that Donald Trump is not messing around. And they realized the only way to stop the pressure that's going to be put on their economies with essentially a global reset, we are fundamentally changing the power dynamic of how the rest of the world interacts with our economy. Donald Trump knows he's sitting on the best hand, and the most under-commoditized asset in the world is the American consumer. And so he knows, listen, it's about time you guys start treating us with the respect we deserve. And so I think you said it exactly correct. He bought us 90 days. Each one of these countries will now be able to go through. Vietnam will ask for certain things. We'll ask for them to take away not just the tariffs, but these other protective measures. And so I think while maintaining maximum pressure on China, and I think something has to be said to follow on your point about the media coverage. You know, nobody said anything when Barack Obama's economic strategy was, we're going to take coal miners and we're going to teach them how to code. And Joe Biden is just going to print money and invest in green energy fantasies based on technology that doesn't exist and probably never will. Right. Donald Trump's standing up on behalf of American businesses and the American consumer, and the media is losing their mind, but today he won.
I want to welcome in Mercedes Schlapp, former White House Communications Director. Mercedes, good to see you. I am so sick of China. Not the Chinese people. This is not a personal affront to the Chinese people. I am so sick of Chinese spy balloons traversing the entire continental United States before they're finally shot down off the coast of South Carolina. I'm so sick of this narrative that COVID-19 didn't come from the COVID-19 laboratory a mile away from that wet mark. I am so sick of China ripping us off. How does this end?
Tell us how you really feel, Rob. But look, I got to tell you, how does this end? I think it's about time that China is being isolated from a trade perspective. We know that China has been implementing their own strategy of putting strategic ports and building strategic ports in continents, in different continents like Africa and different regions like Latin America. They go to these countries in Latin America, for example, and say, look, we're going to trade with you without any conditions. The only condition is do not be critical of the Chinese government. And so that's what we're competing with. And it's about time that the United States puts maximum pressure on China, especially when it comes to their economy, because it is creating, I think, an enormous amount of stress for China at this moment, since they themselves have decided that they're going to be stubborn in this process, aggressive, and just continue to move forward with retaliatory tariffs, which we know Donald Trump was not going to put up with. I don't think this is going to end well for China at the end of the day. I think this is going to put a lot more pressure on them to try to figure out how they can somewhat improve relations with the United States, but also isolate themselves further from our other allies where we are making progress with them.
That's the political angle, Mercedes. That's what I wanted you to say. That's what I was looking for right there. So thank you. You read my mind. Eric, on the economic angle, and I think Mercedes just said this, the Democrats in the media today were saying that Trump capitulated. I disagree. I think the White House just gave China two options. One, you can be part of this, or we can wall you off economically and begin a process that probably should have happened a long time ago, and that's decoupling us from China economically, which could push China closer to Russia. But I'm sick and tired of buying my kids toys that say made in China.
Yeah, I think what the Democrats should be saying is that Donald Trump did a favor for Barack Obama, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, and a host of other Democrat politicians who over the years have complained about exactly what Donald Trump is trying to fix today and took steps towards trying to fix. They have played by a different set of rules. It's fundamentally unfair to America. Everyone has said it, but no one will say it now because it suggests that Donald Trump actually delivered on his promise to hold China accountable and deliver wins for the American people. So Wall Street loves cheap Chinese goods because the companies are able to make profits and they kind of take advantage of the way that China does labor and costs, everything else over there. But as you heard Treasury Secretary Bessent say, it's time for Main Street to have a turn.
Absolutely.
88% of the stocks, I think, are owned by the top 10% of the country. The rest of the world is falling behind, or excuse me, the rest of the country is falling behind. Donald Trump is taking China, holding them accountable, and the rest of America is victorious because of it.
Good point. Eric Eggers, Mercedes Schlapp, great to see you both tonight. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.